Hi, I'm Amanda. Back in 2017, I married the love of my life, John, a wonderful man from a family with a long history of sons. Our wedding was like a scene from a fairy tale, with everyone celebrating our union under the soft glow of sunset. It felt perfect, and for a while, everything was. In the first few years, John and I lived in bliss, our happiness only growing when I discovered I was pregnant. We're going to have a baby, John. I remember telling him, and the sparkle in his eyes as he lifted me into a joyful embrace is something I'll never forget. I hope it's a girl, he whispered, someone as beautiful and kind as her mother. The joy of our growing family was slightly overshadowed by John's mother, Linda. At first, her constant presence and advice seemed like enthusiasm, albeit overwhelming. But things changed when we revealed our baby's gender, a girl. A girl, huh? Linda mused during one family dinner. Are you sure, Amanda? John comes from a long line of boys. It's unusual, isn't it? I tried to laugh it off, replying, I guess we're just breaking tradition this time. As my pregnancy progressed, so did Linda's intrusions. She began showing up unannounced, filling our home with unwelcome comments and old wives' tales about ensuring the next baby would be a boy. It's important to keep a family lineage, Amanda. Maybe you should consult a specialist for the next one, she'd say, her words tinged with irritation. Despite this, I kept my cool. We're just happy to have a healthy baby, Linda, I'd reply. But when we revealed that our second child was also going to be a girl, Linda's demeanor changed from subtly intrusive to openly hostile. Another girl? This can't be right. Are you sure John is the father? Her sharp tone and scrutinizing gaze made my heart pound with anger and disbelief. Linda, that's a horrible thing to say, I exclaimed, but before I could say more, John stepped in, his voice firm. Mom, you're out of line. Amanda is my wife, and I trust her completely. But John, Linda persisted, her tone accusatory. You know the importance of having a boy. Are you sure she's being faithful? Seeing the hurt in John's eyes, I realized this wasn't just about tradition. It was about trust, respect, and family. A family that Linda seemed determined to tear apart with her baseless accusations. The breaking point came during a routine visit when I was 8 months pregnant with our second daughter. Linda's attitude had been frosty since our announcement, but I never imagined it would escalate to physical violence. Why do you insist on shaming our family, Amanda? Why can't you give John a son? Her voice was cold, her eyes filled with something dark and angry. Linda, I'm not giving anyone anything. These are our children, and they are perfect, I said, my voice steady despite the fear rising within me. Suddenly, Linda lashed out, slapping me across the face. The shock of the impact left me reeling, and before I could process what had happened, she kicked me, sending a sharp pain through my belly. John, I cried out, and in an instant he was by my side, shielding me from his mother. Get out, Mom. Now. John's voice thundered through the room as Linda stormed out. The room spun around me as the reality of her actions sank in. She was willing to harm me, to harm her own grandchild. But in that moment, John's unwavering support was my anchor. We knew things had to change. We had to protect our family, no matter what. And that was just the beginning. After John ushered his mother out, the door slammed shut with a finality that echoed through our once peaceful home. We were alone, the silence heavy between us. Are you okay? Did she hurt you or the baby? John asked, his voice trembling with concern. I touched my belly, still in shock, and nursed my cheek with my other hand. I think we're okay. We can't let this go, Amanda. I never thought she'd go this far, he said, guilt etched into his features. I reached for his hand, squeezing it tightly. It's not your fault, John. We couldn't have known she'd do something like this. John began pacing, running his hands through his hair. I'm calling the police. She can't just attack you and think it's okay because she's family. The decision felt heavy, like crossing an invisible line that would forever change the dynamics of our family. But as John dialed the number, his resolve was clear. Protecting our family was his top priority. Hello, yes, I need to report an assault. It's my mother. She attacked my pregnant wife, he said to the dispatcher. As he spoke, my thoughts raced. How had it come to this? Family gatherings that once felt like celebrations now loomed like threats. After hanging up, John sat beside me, his face pale. They're sending someone to take your statement. We're going to make sure she answers for this. The doorbell rang sooner than expected. Two officers stood at our doorstep, their expressions a mix of professionalism and concern. "Mrs. Amanda, can you tell us what happened?" one of the officers asked, taking notes as I recounted the incident, his brow furrowed with each detail. "And you're sure you want to press charges?" he asked, the question heavy with implication. Without hesitation, I nodded. "Yes. It's not just about me, it's about our children's safety." The officers assured us they would handle everything and advised us to seek a restraining order. After they left, the reality of our situation sank in. "We need to think about moving," John suggested. "Somewhere she doesn't know, where we can start fresh." I considered his words. "Maybe you're right, but let's focus on getting through this first, for our daughters." That night, as we lay in bed, the events of the day replayed in my mind. The fear, the betrayal, but most of all, John's unwavering support. It reinforced something vital: our commitment to each other and our family. In the days that followed, we consulted with a lawyer, strengthening our case against Linda. The community's reaction was mixed. Some whispered about family disputes gone too far, while others offered quiet support. Through it all, John and I held on to each other, our bond stronger than ever. We knew we would overcome this, not just survive it. But through it all, we emerged stronger, a united front against any storm. As the court date approached, our resolve only hardened, ready to close this painful chapter and protect the peaceful future we envisioned for our family. "Are we doing the right thing, Amanda?" John's voice was fraught with worry. "Pressing charges against my own mother." "She hurt us, John, and she could have hurt our girls," I replied, the weight of the situation pressing on me. "We need to protect our family." "But the backlash, what if people don't understand? They'll think we're tearing the family apart," he said, his concern evident. I reached for his hand, squeezing it gently. "Some might, but we know the truth. We're not tearing anything apart. We're holding our family together." "As your attorney, I'll need every detail about what happened," Mr. Thompson said as he opened his notepad. "The more specific, the better for building a strong case." We recounted everything from Linda's initial subtle shifts in behavior to her violent outburst. Mr. Thompson listened intently, his pen never stopping. "This is a serious case of domestic assault," he finally said. "Given that Amanda is pregnant, the charges are even more severe." "What about the community? This is going to become public," I asked, a knot of anxiety tightening in my stomach. "People will talk, yes," Mr. Thompson replied, "but your primary concern should be your safety and legal protection." In the weeks that followed, the reality of our situation sank in. Word of the incident spread through our small town, and reactions were mixed. While some neighbors offered sympathetic smiles and understanding nods, others whispered behind closed doors, their gazes judgmental. One afternoon, while picking up groceries, I overheard a couple whispering, "Can you believe she pressed charges against her own mother-in-law over a family argument?" One person said, "It's not just an argument, she was attacked." Another voice defended me. Feeling a surge of emotions, I hurried out of the store, the bags heavy in my hands. At home, John and I discussed our next steps. "Maybe moving isn't such a bad idea," he mused. "A new start could be good for us." "But this is our home, John. Should we really have to leave because of what she did?" I asked, conflicted. "We'll make that decision together," he'd assured me, pulling me into a hug. "Whatever we decide, we'll do it as a family." As the court date drew closer, the strain was palpable. We attended counseling to deal with the stress and fear, each session slowly stitching back the fabric of our family's peace. "We're doing the right thing," I whispered to John one night as we lay quietly in bed. "For our daughters, for us, for our family." After the tumult of the court proceedings, where Linda was handed a sentence that mandated therapy and community service, the quiet in our home felt like a balm. John and I spent long evenings discussing our plans, determined to turn over a new leaf for the sake of our daughters. "Let's repaint the nursery," John suggested one evening, a spark of renewal in his eyes. "Something bright and cheerful." I smiled, warmed by his initiative. Yellow maybe, bright like the sun. As we painted together, the strokes covering old memories, our girls played at our feet, their laughter a sweet sound amidst the swish of brushes. It was during these simple moments that healing seemed most tangible, the past slowly receding like a bad dream. Yet, recovery wasn't just about fixing up our home. It was also about mending the emotional scars. John and I joined a support group for families who had experienced domestic violence. Every session, we sat in a circle, sharing our stories and listening to others, finding strength in shared experiences. It's not easy, I confessed during one session, the group's attentive faces encouraging me to open up. Some days I feel like we're moving forward. Other times, it's like we're stuck. A woman across from me, her name was Marilyn, nodded understandingly. Healing isn't linear, but look at how far you've come, supporting each other through everything. Her words struck a chord. She was right. Despite everything, John and I had each other's backs, stronger together than we'd ever been. Outside the support group, our friends played a crucial role. Rachel and Mike, a couple we'd known for years, frequently checked in, offering to babysit or just bringing over dinner. Their presence was a constant reminder of the good in our lives. "Thank you for being here," I said, grateful for their support. "Hey, what are friends for?" Rachel replied, her smile reassuring. "You do the same for us." Their support was invaluable, but finding peace within myself became just as crucial. I started journaling, pouring my thoughts and fears onto paper. It was a private release, a way to sort through my emotions and come to terms with our new reality. John noticed the change. "You seem more at peace," he observed one night as we settled down after a long day. "I'm getting there," I admitted. Writing helps, talking helps, but knowing we're moving forward together helps the most. As the months passed, the sharp edges of our trauma softened. We celebrated small victories, like our eldest taking her first steps and John's successful completion of a major project at work. Life wasn't just about surviving anymore. It was about thriving, about building the safe, loving environment we had always envisioned for our daughters. "Here's to new beginnings," John toasted one night, glasses clinking in the soft light of our renovated kitchen. "To us," I added, "and to a future filled with love and peace." As we embraced, surrounded by the tangible results of our resilience, I knew we were on the right path. Our journey wasn't over, but each step took us further from the shadows of the past and closer to the light of our own making. One crisp autumn evening, as we watched the girls play in the leaf-strewn yard, John wrapped an arm around my shoulders. "Can you believe how fast they're growing?" he asked. I leaned into him, watching our daughters. "It's amazing. They're so happy, John. We did that. We made this peace for them." Our journey hadn't been easy. The scars from Linda's betrayal lingered, but they no longer defined us. Instead, they served as stark reminders of our resilience and the depths of our commitment to each other and our children. "We've made a lot of tough decisions," I said. Cutting ties with Linda was one of the hardest, but I know it was the right one. John nodded, his gaze thoughtful. "It was necessary for our safety and sanity. It's just unfortunate it had to come to that with my own mother. But we're here now, and that's what matters." We watched as Sophie helped Ella up after a gentle tumble, both laughing amidst the autumn colors. That night, after we tucked the girls into bed, John and I sat on the porch, a pot of tea steaming between us. We talked about the future, about the possibilities that lay ahead, new projects, potential trips, and watching our girls grow up into the strong, joyful individuals they were becoming. "Our family, our rules, our happiness," John declared, raising his cup in a quiet toast. "To new beginnings and to a life built on love, respect, and above all, peace." As the stars twinkled above, the shadows of our past seemed nothing more than distant memories. The challenges we had faced had not only brought us closer, but had also redefined what it meant to be a family. We were no longer just survivors of hardship, but architects of our own joy. In the quiet of the night, with the soft whisper of the breeze and the promise of tomorrow in our hearts, I felt a profound sense of gratitude. We had navigated the darkest of times together, and now we stood on the threshold of a bright, hopeful future, a future we had secured through courage, love, and an unwavering belief in each other. What do you think about the decision John and I made to cut ties with Linda? Was it the only way to protect our family, or could there have been another solution? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more,